extrapolate, then, what are the odds that my experience is that indicative of anything? It's like, I would certainly not wager anything on that. So like you see Kirk on TikToks, and it's like, or something like Charlie Kirk memes of his forehead being humongous, genuinely humongous. It's like, this guy's a schmuck. But then, like, literally, so we were outside the SEC building, and the flags are literally at half mast for the guy. It's incredible. I do think I'm sort of bitter about it. Back to like my oracle and missing out on a good trade. I think when it comes to Zoran, because I saw Zoran on my Twitter feed, it's like, is Zoran actually him? Is Zoran actually that guy? And it's like, well, if he's on Twitter, on my Twitter lefty accounts are tweeting about it, maybe not. I don't know. So point is, luckily I got out of Cuomo in time, but pretentious selfie time. All right, SEC building, L'Homme Marseille, but this time the home jersey instead of the third. Yeah, this is the SEC building. Bring back Gensler. It is funny though, like, so this is literally like probably like the street. This is unironically the path we took, right, from Union Station over here, right, from up there to here, is unironically probably the route that's a decent chunk of like general counsels for different financial firms would have taken, right? Or you think about all of the crypto stuff that happens, right? It's like, I don't know. They probably do the same route, right? From Union Station. Because it turns out, the existence of Amtrak kind of proves that, certainly when it's on the corporate account, that the SL is a reasonably nice experience. And so that route we took is literally the route you would take to go to the SEC to grovel for some leniency. Speaking of which, one of these days we should do a CFTC. That's a good idea. So I think the CFTC is over by Georgetown, also, or over by GWU. Also, What You Say by Derulo. Incredible old but banger tune. The dog. The SEC's got the flag half staff. I wonder if I guess the White House, they also get half staff. That's incredible. Again, because Kirk is literally a meme, This looks public. Not that risk-seeking, but I don't know. That's a fun thing. Just incredibly random. Anyways, I guess I should mention the SBF. And there's certainly SBF, right? I think certainly his risk attitude is very risk-on, given some of his things. But I think just to combine the two topics and what I think about, which humbles me, is a source of annoyance, is of course SBF is in prison So I do suppose that's one thing I have over SBF. You know, I'm not the guy who's locked up. Am I right? Look at that. Oh, so the SEC building is much bigger than I thought. But, you know, SBF is locked up, so I've got that over him. But at the same time, right, because I think SBF had a random interview with, like, Tucker Carlson or somebody like that. Apparently SBF is just chilling with all the other white-collar bros. Right. And chilling with Diddy and stuff like that. Which again is an incredible turn of events. And ultimately, the self-deprecating joke is that, you know, despite that, Bankman-Fried had more. Frankly, I think the other thing is honestly commendable. It's like, if you're, there's a fun document of like, if you're probably, or it's mostly like, if you see a guy who's dating a girl who's out of his league, should you cheer for that guy? Or should you be annoyed that that guy took one of the finite girls who'd be willing to have that asymmetry? And it's like, I debate. I do suppose it comes down to my level of bitterness for today. I have concluded, though, as I've gone older, that happiness is not finite, and ultimately you should be supportive, and or at the very least, that should not be a cause for you to be disappointed. Because ultimately, if you're annoyed at the guy, then that's affecting you. Whereas if you're happy for the guy, you know, this gives you some inspiration and confidence, and or not confidence, but it's some motivation per se. You know, and isn't that what it's about? So anyways, and so that was a broader. Another flag at half staff. That is genuinely incredible. Because the broader point is like, you know, yeah, SBF has more pull. Well, honestly, frankly, most guys, certainly myself, and that is something I think about on the subway. Yeah. Yeah, the things you think about on the subway to feel disappointed. That would be a great comedic bit, would be to see walk around and see how many flags are at half staff and see which flags are in most random places. It'd be incredible if one of the Supreme Court justices had their flag at half staff and it's like Gorsuch for Kirk or something. That'd be such a good bit. But I suppose we're doing our part. Another great bit is seeing the random like posters people have outside their houses. And we do see some bangers. You know, Harris Walsh, you know, a bit too on the nose. It's not as good as Obama, Biden. And you can tell, like, one time I saw it, and you could tell, dude, that poster was aged, which is incredible. You know, that's never a fun DC thing. Like, you always see, like, incredible combinations of stuff. But it's always fun to see the combinations you haven't seen yet. So I'll keep waiting for that. But back to the SBF point. So yeah, that is a point, you know. And I'm pretty sure like there's stories of SBF with models or certain parties, right? I was like, man, there is a guy who was risk on and really seized the moment. You know, and all you can say is kudos to the man. He did play it correctly. The other point about SBF, I think is just also humbling, is if you think about, right, he's in prison, right, where he doesn't have access to the internet cleanly, right, and like he was locked up, pretty much. Certainly locked up before AI, I think, made big advances with the reasoning models like DeepSeek or O3, right? And if SBF was locked up before that stuff, right, it's like you go to prison and you're frozen in time, right? Think about like the movie concept of like the guy who's released from prison but can't, like in Shawshank Redemption, right? Like the old guy is released but he can't, like the world has changed so much. Hey, look at that reference. Shawshank Redemption from a 23-year-old. It's pretty good. Right? It's like literally like SBF, he'll get out, I think, in like 30 years, 20 years, probably earlier because of good behavior. No idea if that's how it actually works, but so he'll get out in like 20 years, but like the world will be so different, right? And to the degree to which SBF is hearing about AI stuff, he's hearing about it from the prison guards, you know? And just being honest, right? Like the prison guards probably aren't the best view you want into how AI is happening or evolving, you know? So like it's literally like an ancient, like imagine like the ancient past when like you hear like rumors, right, like spread because that's all you've got. It's literally just a rumor and you only hear bits and fragments, and that's literally what SBF, or literally like you hear about like how like, you know, medieval Europe would hear about China and have like incredible tales in view, right? Because it makes sense, right? Because there's so much distance. Naturally, things are going to be different, and there's going to be an incentive to like have more grandeur in your tales. Like if you're Marco Polo, right, you kind of makes you cooler, right? Or like if you're Ibn Battuta or something, right? I don't know. It'd be dope if you went to Bali and things were lit. And I'm not saying that's really the case for AI, but in a sense that same bakery, like he's literally hearing fragments of things, you know, fragments of AI. But also Fitchuck. Oh, Lo Marse. But like literally SBF, like he's hearing fragments of all the stuff about AI, and he's literally getting fragments because he's not the one experiencing it, you know. So that's just a funny, or certainly for anybody in prison, right? It's like you go to prison in like 2007, you get out in 2025. Now that's 18 years, not super long, but like smartphones are completely different to you, right? Because the iPhone didn't come out until like 2008, about, and so then have wide adoption for 5 years later, right? Like, can you imagine that? Like, you go to prison before smartphones, and then you get out, and now everybody's talking about LLMs. You know, like how you function. Not necessarily saying Baker-Fried is high horsepower enough to handle that. I do suppose if you're Baker-Fried, you're also getting you're probably getting a lot of fan mail from your EA buds also, which helps. But yeah, that's just something I thought about recently. And it's right, like a man who's like, is like the Victor Hugo quote of like, there's nothing more powerful than an idea that's whose time has come. Or like a slight inversion of that is like a person whose time is out. It's like, I don't know. I suspect Baker-Fried embodies that. But again, anyways, this is the last part. You can role play. You can role play being a crypto lawyer or somebody, right? Because again, to recap, right, we just walked around the SEC building for a bit, and that's right. Like, you do go to the SEC for some things, right? So could you imagine? So we can literally recreate what it's like to exit the SEC building, right? So we step out the SEC building. You see the flag at half staff. You'll wonder why. You know, take a selfie outside it. And so you're talking to the SEC. You're talking about you're lobbying for better treatment of crypto tokens to not be treated as securities, or you're another country's stock exchange. I'm just doing one of those like standard like best practices type of meetings, you know. And you look back on the SEC building, it's like, man, that is truly, unironically, an incredible source of American power projection and influence is literally the SEC and security violations enforcement. It's kind of dictatorial, but right. And so you're literally going to go from there, right, the SEC building, and then you're going to take your train at Union Station back. And like, unironically, this is literally the route you would take, right, from SEC building to here. Like, in practice, naturally, of course, you would go down that way. But we'll take the scenic route. But that's literally what you would do. Which I just find incredibly amusing. Right, and then you go into your Excella, catch the train back to New York City. Because you wouldn't, in your right mind, live in DC. You know. Is that a new tourist gimmick? The Liberty Bell? I think it is. Yeah. The Liberty Bell. Honestly, the National Guard vehicle being outside is actually such a good bit. And it's actually, like, I think, marginally a tourist attraction in practice, if you think about it. But since we're here, I hate doing touristy things, but Union Station is impressive. Again, right. It's incredible that New York. It's incredible that New York blew up the original Penn Station for the rat entrance that it is now. But that's a shame. I ranted about it over time, but real answer I came here was run to the restaurant. But thanks for watching.